Salutations, my chemist. My name is Professor Ramiro Santana, and today we are going to do two problems about chemistry. The first problem reads as the following. If 25 milliliters of zero point 0.5 sodium hydroxide neutralizes 35 milliliters of a monoprotic acid, what is the molarity? So we must first take into consideration the dilution equation M1V1 equals M2V2, whereas M equals the molarity and V equals the volume of the acid. Um, as we read the problem, we are given certain data values. So M1 equals zero point 0.5 M, V1, the volume equals 25 milliliters. We have to find the second molarity, and we're given the second volume, which is 35 milliliters. So we go ahead and plug in the values. 0.5 m times 25 milliliter equals 35 milliliters times m2. We go and multiply these values and we get 12.5 milliliter equals, and then go ahead and divide it by 35 milliliters in order to get the molarity. We cancel these out, and the final result is M2 equals 0.35 M. So that's the molarity for this equation and the answer. Hope you understood it. Now we are going to do some chemical nomenclature. These are the rules on how to name binary compounds with a non-metal and a metal. The cation, which is the metal, is named first, and then the anion, which is the non-metal, comes second. So later on we will see an example. Also, the anion ends in suffix "ide". Here are some common simple cations and anions mentioned in the table. And so in our example, we have sodium iodide and calcium oxide. They're all balanced with their charges. So now we're going to learn to write the binary compound containing non-metal covalently bonded. So here what you do is that you include a prefix to the second non-metal and a suffix "ide" at the end. So if, for example, you have PF subscript 5, that's phosphorus pentafluoride, and here are the prefix included. So now we're going to discuss how to do the chemical nomenclature for polyatomic compounds containing ionic groups. So like the binary compounds containing a non-metal and a metal, the polyatomic compounds are named by first placing the anion and then the cation. So for example, if you have calcium sulfate, you place the calcium, who would be the anion, and then place a sulfate as the anion. Second example, ammonium sulfate. Ammonium would be the anion, which has a +1 charge, so you have to balance it there with sulfate, which has a -2, and so that would be the compound. Mentioned in here are the rules mentioned before on how to name polyatomic ions in the ionic groups.